This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Good morning, friends. In this Business Intelligence Master Program, this is our 20th session. In this session, basically, we are going to see logging pipeline audit data to Azure SQL database table. What it means is, whenever you run a pipeline, you need to fetch all the details. Okay, how much time this particular pipeline execution has taken. Next, how many example, if you look at in that pipeline, if you are using copy activity is copying some data. So you want to understand how much data it is copying, whatever data it has fetched from source, everything is loaded into the destination or not. Okay, what is the overall status? So all these things, if you can maintain in a table, what happens is if the pipeline is failing like very frequently, maybe like weekly once or weekly twice, then you can able to analyze these things once we have all the audit logs which we have for last 30 days, right? So let's say whatever execution details for your pipeline, these last 30 days pipeline execution details, if you have, it will be easy for you to analyze your pipeline, how it is behaving, how your pipeline is behaving. You can able to analyze very easily if you have last 30 days pipeline execution details. So that's why what we are doing, we are not simply monitoring in a monitor tab. Instead of that, what we are doing is all these details we are taking and storing in a some table, so that these details will be available in the table always. So if you want to analyze last 1 year audit logs, you can analyze. If you want to analyze last 1 month audit logs, you can analyze. Everything is possible, right? So let's see today's session. What we are going to learn, we are going to see scenarios, then data types in SQL. Okay, dynamic content, because this dynamic content is required today to dynamically fetch the values. Example, you want to fetch data factory name or pipeline name, the number of records read, number of records written, the status. So status you don't know, you cannot hard code it. So dynamically based on your copy activity, if it is succeeded, you need to receive the status is succeeded. If it is failed, right? So that kind of dynamic values you need to get. For that, you need to use a dynamic queries. You need to put some dynamic content. So we will see how you can put that. Next, to table syntax and example. We need to create some table, because basically we are going to copy a table. Then stored procedure with example, because whatever tables you have created, let's say I have two tables. One is basically source table, another table I will create for storing the audit logs. Now my source table, let's consider cust, my pipeline log table called pipeline underscore log. Now what I'm going to do, I will copy customer table. Once I copy customer table from SQL database to the blob storage, I will take all the details. Okay, number of records read, number of records read, copy duration, how much time it has taken, what is the total time it has taken, whether this particular execution is done by any scheduler, is it something automatic, automation, or is it manual, right? So all these details I will pick and I will store it in my pipeline underscore log. So now the question is how you can fetch this copy activity or pipeline details dynamically, and how you can store in a table, right? So you know how to get it is by using a dynamic content. You can able to read the values dynamically. But once you are reading these values, how will you pass these values to table to insert it through the stored procedure? We know parameterized stored procedure we have used multiple times. We also have seen how you can insert these records. Once you pass the parameter values to stored procedure, these values you can use to insert a record in a table, right? We have seen that. We'll see again. We will see estimations, prerequisites, and required resources. Estimations, basically we are having a little bit idea on how many activities we are going to use, how many pipelines, what type of IR we are going to use, all those things. Prerequisites, basically what all things you need to know to understand this lab. Required resources, what all resources you need, okay, for today lab. Next demo, we will see how to create SQL database, how to create table, how to create stored procedure. As we discussed, in a database you are going to create a table, two tables, customer table and pipeline underscore log table. Once we have these two tables, right? So customer table, you will copy those details. You will put it in a pipeline underscore log. How you will put it? With the help of stored procedure and dynamic content. Next, we are going to create blob storage, because whatever source table which we have in SQL database, that data we are moving into the blob storage. Then create Azure data factory. We will create data factory linked service connection string. We are going to create by using integration runtime. Multiple data sets we are going to create. Then pipeline, right? Data sets, it's a reference points. Pipeline, it's a group of activity. If you want to use the multiple activities or multiple tasks, if you want to do all those activities, you can pipeline one by one. You want to execute or you want to execute parallelly, everything you can define in the pipeline. Next, you can debug pipeline and run pipeline. We also know the difference between debug and run. Debug means you can create a breakpoint. Partial execution of pipeline is possible without publishing the pipeline. You can able to execute our pipeline. Run pipeline, you must publish the pipeline, then only you can run pipeline. Once you debug or run, you can able to monitor the execution details. Okay, these are the things we will see in scenarios. Here today, the scenarios which we are going to cover is how to copy data from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. We already completed this scenario, but as we are going to do today lab for audit information, we need to copy data. Then only we can able to grab a lot of audit information, right? So that's why we are going to copy again data from SQL database to blob storage. Second one is once you copied this data from SQL database to blob storage, we are going to log in. We are going to log all this audit information into Azure SQL database. Then we are going to see dynamic copy activity, because I'm not going to hard code my table name or my destination container name. I am going to pass everything as a parameters. I will use dataset parameters and the pipeline parameters. Okay, next. In this particular lab, we are going to use copy activity and stored procedure activity. Only these two activities we are going to use. Next. Copy data from SQL database to the blob storage. In SQL Server, we will have a database. In database, I have a table called cust. This table I want to move it into a blob storage here. So first thing that I need to connect to the SQL Server by using linked service. Then I will create a data set for reading this customer table, right? This customer table, but this time am I going to hard code the table name in input data set, or am I going to pass a parameter? Okay, am I going to pass my table name to the parameter? Remember, I'm going to pass my table name dynamically to the dataset parameter. Next, once you are reading this table I want to copy. So where you want to copy? I want to copy into blob storage container. For that, you need to create an output data set. But if you want to create output data set, what is important? You need to have a linked service to your blob storage. So I will create linked service. Once I execute all these things, what will happen? It will place this particular table data in your blob storage, some folder, whatever folder you mention. So these all things will be done by your Azure integration on time, and everything will be maintained by data factory. So these things, I hope everybody is clear as of now. Now we'll see. Here you see, this is how our pipeline will look like today. Because what happens is once you are copying the data, this copying data, two things may happen. One is copy activity may fail due to different X reasons, right? But copy activity may succeed. Now what I wanted to do, if it is the succeeded, I want to execute stored procedure, success stored procedure. If it is failed, I want to execute failure stored procedure. What copy activity is going to do? Copy activity will copy data from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. What stored procedure is going to do? Stored procedure activity will log copy activity execution details to Azure SQL database. It may be on success scenario, it may be on failure scenario. In both the scenarios, we are going to log the copy activity execution details to Azure SQL database table. Okay, till here everybody's clear? Parmesh, clear? Murli, other people please confirm, friends.
Yeah, Malaya, clear.
Thank you. Now we'll see dynamic content. So this is the dynamic content I'm going to use. See here, @pipeline.data factory to get the data factory name from which you are running the pipeline. @pipeline.pipeline means it is going to give you pipeline name. It is going to give you pipeline name. Remember, @pipeline.run ID means whenever you run a pipeline, there will be a run ID, unique ID will be that will be given. Trigger type. Parmesh, please be in mute. Okay, run ID is the ID. So whenever you run a pipeline, you will have a unique ID. Trigger type is basically, so what kind of trigger, whether it is a manual trigger or it is triggered by your some other trigger, example schedule trigger. You have a different triggers, right? Tumbling trigger, all those things. Okay, trigger type means manual or schedule or event, or it can be tumbling, right? So trigger ID means whenever you ran a pipeline with particular trigger, there will be a trigger ID. Even if you run a manually, you will have a trigger ID. Okay, next, trigger name. So trigger name means if you are debugging, trigger name will be sandbox. If you are published and running manually, it will be a manual. If you are running through the schedule trigger, whenever you are creating schedule trigger, you will give some name, right? So that name will come. Okay, remember trigger time. When this particular pipeline triggered, that particular trigger time. Copy activity. See, these all are on pipeline. So this is specific to activity. Which activity? Activity of Cloud Pandit copy activity dot status. What is the status of this copy activity? At the rate activity of Cloud Pandit copy dot status code. So here, if it is a successful, then you may get some 200. If it is a failed, based on the fail, you will have a status code, failed status code. Next, Cloud Pandit copy dot error. If the pipeline execution is succeeded, error will be null. If the pipeline is not succeeded, then you will get the some error message. Remember. Okay, fine. Now, not only these, there are some other things. Now you see here, Cloud Pandit dot output dot rows copied. Rows copied means the number of records written into the destination. Next, output dot rows read. Rows read means the number of records read from the source. Used parallel copies, the number of threads used, right? We know, right? Parallel processing. Copy duration. What is the time it has taken to copy data from SQL database to the blob storage? Time taken to copy data. It will be in a seconds, remember. Effective integration runtime. What kind of integration runtime is used? Is it something default integration runtime or self-hosted integration runtime or Azure integration runtime? It will tell you. Here, what is your source? Suppose I am copying data from Azure SQL database. So my source is going to be Azure SQL database. When you come to sync, what is your sync? My target is blob storage. So my sync type is going to be blob. Execution start time. When this copy activity started, okay, fine. It will tell you whatever time it has started. Execution end time. When this copy activity ended. Okay, all these details you will have, friends. All these details I'm going to log in into my log table. Now, see, these are the commonly used data types. As I said, here you can see date time. Okay, it supports date and time. Date and time. Date. It supports date. Varchar. It supports names. Okay, it supports names. Lab. So something. Okay, it can be product name. It can be our PM name. Anything. Okay. So it should be nvarchar. But yeah, you can have a varchar. It will also allow this. But if you have any Unicode things means you have any special characters, then you need to go with the nvarchar. Next, int means it can be your customer IDs, it can be your product IDs, it can be anything, small numbers, right? So big int means the numbers which are more than 9 digits. Example, your account numbers, your identity numbers. If you are in India, you will have some Aadhaar and all those things, numbers, right? Which are more than 9 digits. Even if you consider your phone number, which is 9 digits, more than 9 digits, 10 digits. So in all these cases, we are going with the big int. Let's see now table syntax. So we know how to create table. Create table, table name, column 1 data type, column 2 data type, column 3 data type, column n data type. With this syntax, I have created a table. Create table, cust int, custom varchar, phone number, begin, cust join date is date time. Date time means date and time. Begin means more than 9 digits. Varchar means name. Int means number, okay, which is small number, right? Now, how you will insert data? Insert into table name. So column names, values you need to put here. So column names you can mention in whatever order you remember. You just mention those column names here, and you can put the data as per the columns definition. If you have given column cust name first, then cust ID, then when you are providing data also you need to give it in the same order. So this is also same query. Here I am not mentioning the column names. Without mentioning the column names also you can able to insert if you remember the column order in a table. Next, I want to select the data from the table. How you select the star from cust. If you want to select all the data, if you want to select particular data, select cust name from cust, meaning particular column I want to select. Let's say I want to filter out, select a star from cast where ID greater than 2, meaning I will get the records which are greater than 2, 3, 4, 5. If I have up to 10, I will get 3 to 10 records. Okay, something like that we have seen. Now, so this is the table we are going to create for today, because in this table you see what all things I have defined. Create table dbo.pipeline log table. In this I am storing data factory name, pipeline name, run ID, source, destination. See, so you know data factory name means data factory name, pipeline name means pipeline name, run ID means run ID, right? So unique ID will be created. Source and destination means source side, maybe I am going to pass a table. So that table name I want to pass it into this column. Destination container name I want to pass it into my destination. Now trigger type, as we discussed, it can be manual or scheduled, right, or event based or tumbling. Trigger ID will be generated dynamically whenever your pipeline is triggered. Trigger name. So if you have debugged, it is a sandbox. If you have published and ran, it is a manual. If you have scheduled, or if you have created tumbling window, if you have created event trigger, so you will give the name for these triggers, that name will come. Trigger time means when this trigger has uh, triggered. Okay, when this trigger happened. Next, rows copied, number of rows written, rows read, number of records read from the source. Parallel threads, number of parallel copies. Copy duration in seconds means the time it has taken to copy data from SQL database to the blob store. The effective integration runtime, same friends. What type of IR we have used? Source type means here whether your source is Azure SQL database or blob storage. My source is Azure SQL database. This Azure SQL database data I am moving into the blob storage. So sync type is going to be your blob. Copy activity start time, when copy activity started. Copy activity end time, when copy activity ended. Execution status. Execution status means whether your pipeline is succeeded or failed. Execution status code means if it is succeeded, you will get 200 status code. If it is failed, you will get a failed status code. Error message, if the pipeline failed, you will get some error message. If pipeline succeeded, you will get error message value as null. Okay, so with these all columns, I'm creating a table, pipeline log table. In this, see procedure, I need a procedure, right? So this procedure, so I'm just showing the procedure syntax first. Okay, see, create procedure name as begin end. Okay, this is the query. Okay, this is the query. Now here you see example, create procedure cust underscore sp as begin, select a star from cust, meaning from the customer table whatever data I have, everything will be returned as a result whenever you execute this particular stored procedure, because inside the stored procedure we have this query. Now, so now I am going with the stored procedure with the parameters. You see here, create a procedure name p1 int, p2 varchar, parameter 1, parameter 2. So those you can use in the query. Example, create procedure cust underscore sp3 id, name parameter, phone number parameter, join date parameter. Now these four parameter I am using to insert a record into this table. Insert into cust values are PID, PNAME, phone number, join date, because these values I don't know to hard code here. That's why I want to pass these values dynamically. That's why I have defined the parameters here. Not only inserting, you can also update this with the help of parameters. See, create procedure name. I have taken P1 and P2. These two parameters I can use in the query. Example, create procedure cust underscore sp6. Okay, ID and a phone mobile number. Particular customer has provided wrong number last time, so you want to provide his correct number now. So he is going to give his new number which is correct. Then he also will give what is his ID, so that in a table we can able to identify his record uniquely with the help of ID. Okay, see here where custody equal to this, wherever this condition is matching, only that record will be modified, that record will be updated with this phone number. See, update customer table, change the customer phone number column with this new number which I'm providing, but don't change this modification for all the records. Check the condition wherever this condition is matching, whatever records are matching this condition, in those records only we need to modify this. Sorry, next procedure syntax. Now you see procedure syntax here. Create proc pipeline underscore log underscore usp user. Okay, user defined stored procedure. USP means In this, see my like create proc procedure name, your parameters. So my first parameter is data factory name, next one is pipeline name, run ID, source means table name, destination means container, trigger type, it can be manual or scheduled or tumbling or event. Trigger ID, you will have trigger name, so sandbox or manual. As I said, if it is a schedule, set schedule trigger name. If it is event trigger name. Okay, next trigger time, what time this trigger has happened. A rows copied, number of rows written, number of rows written, read. Okay, number of parallel copies. Number of parallel copies is basically number of parallel copies. Basically it tells you the number of threads which is used. Copy duration in seconds, right? So the time which it has taken in seconds. IR is used. Source type SQL database. Sync type is blob storage. Copy activity start time, copy activity end time. Status, it is succeeded or failed. Status code, it can be 200 or any other thing. Okay, error message. So all these parameters I'm taking as begin, and I'm going to use this insert query, and I will end it. See, in insert, into which table I'm inserting these parameters. Insert into pipeline underscore log, values are these dynamic parameters I'm passing. Okay, clear friends? Now let's come here. Dynamic content for stored process. So again I just repeated. Data factory, if you want to get data factory name, this one, pipeline name, run ID, trigger type, trigger ID, trigger name, and a trigger time. Okay, so up to here you see all these are on pipeline dot data factory, pipeline dot pipeline dot run ID, all these things. Okay, now from here specific to copy activity dot output dot rows copy activity dot output dot rows read, copy activity dot output dot use parallel copies, copy activity output copy duration, effective integration runtime, output execution details of zero dot source dot type, output dot execution details, sync type, execution start time, end time, status code, and error. Okay, these are the dynamic queries we need to use. Okay, let's see now. Estimations, how many linked services we need. So for each Azure SQL database, one linked service is required. In Azure Data Factory v2, for each storage, one linked service is required. How many data sets we need depends on the reference points we need to create the data sets. How many activities we need. So one copy activity is required to copy data from Azure SQL database to the blob storage. If you want to update these records into if you want to log into Azure SQL database, we need a stored procedure. So that's why we are going to use the stored procedure activity as well. Next, how many pipelines we need? Only one pipeline is enough for us. What type of IR we need to use to copy data from SQL database to blob storage? Azure integration runtime. Prerequisites, we should know Azure SQL database. We already know what is Azure SQL database, what is blob storage, data factory, integration runtime and the types, what is linked service, what is data set, what is the activity, and the pipeline. So all these things we already aware of these things. So required resources. So Azure SQL server, we need to create Azure SQL database, blob storage, and Azure data factory v2. Okay, these are the resources we need to create, friends. Okay, these are the slides I have. Let me just quickly come here and let's quickly create all the resources which we need. Okay, let's quickly create the SQL database. Let's click add to create the SQL databases. Subscription, free trial. Resource group I'm going to create Cloud Pandit BI Master Program 1. Okay, so just click OK, come down. Let's give my database name is Cloud Pandit SQL DB. Just create the server Cloud Pandit SQL server. So I'm just providing my name here. Okay, just provide the password. I'm launching this in a east to west. Just click OK. So Elastic Pool, multiple databases are going to share the resources. Compatible storage, you can purchase database in two ways. One is DTO, another one is vCore. but I'm going with the DTOs, database transactional units. I have taken 10 DTOs, 250 GB storage. Click review plus create. Now go to second tab here, open portal.azure.com. Okay, let's create here storage account. Okay, just click on storage account. Click add to create the storage account. Resource group, right? Resource group, I can say this one which we have created today, and storage account name Cloud Pandit Storage. Okay, Cloud Pandit Storage. In which location? East to west. Performance is standard or premium. You just take whatever you want. So you know standard means HDDs and premium means you'll have a SSD. Okay. Okay. So storage V2, we have a different account kinds. We know each kind what changes will happen if you select each one, right? So replication basically have a multiple copies. So where you will have multiple copies, if you select each one of this, you know, just click review plus create. Create it. Now come here. Let's say portal.azure.com. Let's create our third and final resource, that is Azure Data Factory. Click on Data Factories. Click add to create the data factories. Resource group. Okay, I'll just keep this. Region is east to west. Name. So name of my data factories, I will say Cloud Pandit BI ADF. BDF, you can say. And this name is available. Git configuration, we will configure it later. Click review plus create. Running final validation. Once validation finished, you can create it. Now we have created the database, storage account, and data factory. Let's open our storage account. I'm not going to do because everything, even container name, I'm going to create dynamically. Okay, just click on container. Okay, here I will just keep it here. Now come to data factory. Data factory is still creating. Yeah, data factory is created. You just click go to resource, author and monitor. Okay, we are in the data factory. Now I opened blob storage, nothing, just it's a empty data factory. I have not done anything. I just opened. Let's go to database. Click go to resource. First thing what we need to do, can you tell me friends what we need to do? First thing, we need to set the server file one. Just click on set server file one. Then we need to add the client IP, add client IP, then turn on this, save it. You know all these things, right? So you are allowing other Azure services to connect to this server, and you are adding client IP to grant the permissions, right? Fine, come now, come back. Now see, I have installed one tool called Azure Data Studio. So you can install Azure Data Studio instead of SSMS. It is very very lightweight system. Okay, so lightweight tool because it is just 100 MB. If you look at your SSMS, it is minimum 650 MB or 700 MB you need to download, right? So it is very cheap, small, lightweight tool. You can use this particular tool to connect to your databases. Okay, so this is the tool which is used in industry as well. Nowadays people are adopting this particular tool. Okay, so you can continue with this particular tool. Okay, and I will show you how you can connect. Once I just double clicked on that, you will see this page. Once you see this page, you just click on new connection. Okay, so once you click on new connection, you are seeing here connection type Microsoft SQL Server. I want to connect. What is the server name? Come back here. See, server name is this. Copy this. Put this here. Now, do you have Windows authentication or SQL authentication? We have a SQL authentication. Let's enter our username and password. Okay. Let me enter my username and password. I will tell you how to install at the end of today's session. Okay. So next, database. So what is the database name? So you see this is the server. This is my database. This database name I need to put it here. Okay. Once we provide all these details, just click connect. Okay. Let me just I'm just removing this inactive connection detail. Okay, let it be. I think. Okay, fine. I don't think there is direct option to delete this. Okay, fine. See, this is the like something which is inactive. Okay, let's connect this green mark, right, which is active. Okay, now come here. So you look at the tables. Do you have any tables? See, you don't have any tables. That's why it is not showing. Do we have any stored procedure? You can see stored procedures. Expand this. See, you don't have any stored procedure as well. Now I want to write my query. Just click on new query. This is the new tool. It will take some time for you or for me to take and adopt this particular tool. Don't worry. Let's learn together. Okay. Fine. This is the new tool. Okay. Now I want to create a table or whatever I want to do. I need to paste the queries here. Come here. I kept all these queries which we need to execute for today here. Okay. Now let's verify once again. Data factory create table. This is the table name. Data factory name. It's a varchar. I am allowing the 500 characters and null. Fine. Pipeline name varchar 500 characters. I am allowing null. Null means what? Null values it will accept. Even if you're not passing pipeline name, it will not fail. This particular table will allow null values. Okay. Run ID. So varchar 500 null. Source varchar 500 null. Destination varchar 500 null. Trigger type trigger ID, trigger name varchar 500. So trigger time, date time, correct. Rows copied int, rows read int, number of parallel copies in, copy duration in second, it's a int. Okay, if you want to put it this one also null value, you can put null. Okay, no issue. It's not a case sensitive. Even you can use this small letter. Effective integration runtime, it's a name varchar. Source type SQL database name, blob storage sync type name. Copy start time, date time, copy end time, date time, status name succeeded or failed, status code. Okay, it's a 200, right? So 200 or sometimes it will give some 400, 406C or some other alphanumeric letters it may give. That's why I'm just going with the varchar. Error message, just error message is some name again. So some text, right? That's why varchar fine. This is everything is fine. I'll just select this. Okay, come here. Let's put this query here. I want to run it. How to run? Just you see here, run. Just click on run. See, command completed successfully. Total execution time it took 0.35 seconds. Okay, let's remove this. Now you see here, just expand these tables once again. Do one thing. You don't refresh, just refresh it because you just created the table. If you want to see that table, you see dbo.pipeline_log. Let's try to select the data from this table. Select star from pipeline_log. Okay, let's run it. See, do you have any data in this? No. Yes, we don't have any data. It is not showing anything. This is clear, right? Now, fine. Okay, I hope everybody is clear on this. I also want to create some source table. How to create source table? See, there is the intelligence, but same intelligence is not available in SSMS. Okay, see, create a table first. Okay, next I will say CID int, rename varchar. Next, see phone number. You can say big int. the joined date, you want to give date time, okay, something like this. With these details, I'm creating the table, run it. Okay. This is also successfully finished. Right click on tables, refresh this, expand this, you see custom table also available. Into this custom table, do we have any record? So you can comment it, just double hyphen if you put, it's a commented in SQL, you know, right? So now I want to select the data, select star from first. Let's run it. Do you have any data in this? You don't have any data, so you want to get C CID, CNAME, C phone number, C join date is, it's empty. Now I want to insert records, insert into cast values are, okay, values are, I will directly insert one Rama and phone number, I will give my phone number, okay, 252, and join the date, I will say 2020 11:01, okay, maybe 10 o'clock 10 minutes 10 seconds, okay. So at this time you join with this same record. What you can do is, maybe you can just simply put something like this. We have seen different ways to insert the record into the table. Just to put comma. So I will just modify these things, okay. Let's say is customer 2, is customer 3, is customer 4, okay. Maybe you can say here Krishna Sai, okay. See here, it's 11:1. I will mark it as 11:2. I will mark it as 11:3. Phone number I will keep as is for all the people. It's 11:2. Now you see it's a one Rama, phone number, my number. This is the date when these people joined. Okay, 2 Krishna, same phone number. This is the date. 3 Sai, phone number. This is the date. 4 Shiva, phone number. This is the date. Okay. With this, you don't need to select because anyhow these are commented. You can simply run it. All the things will run. Okay, see 4 rows affected. Now I will just comment all these things. Okay. So there should be some options here to comment. So I don't see those things. Okay, now what you need to do, so there should be some commented options. I think those are not available here. That's okay. So I need to find out the shortcuts because I also found this particular tool yesterday. Okay, because one of our people who are attending training in their project, they are using this. Okay, they just told yesterday, I just downloaded and installed it. So it is good, but only few more improvements need to be taken. Fine. Now you see, just uncomment this. I will uncomment. Okay, let's run it. Now you see select star from cast. We should be able to see the data. Clear, friends? One drama, this phone number, this is joined date. 2 Krishna, this phone number, this joined date. 3 Sai phone number, this date. Okay, this is clear to all of us, isn't it, friends? Yes, this is clear. Okay, now let's remove this because if I keep everything in this window, it will be full. Okay, so I'll just keep it here. Fine. Now I want to execute a stored procedure. You know, this is very careful. Okay, because here see create proc pipeline log. So you know data factory name is name, pipeline name, run ID name, source varchar, you know destination varchar, trigger type varchar, ID, name, trigger time, rows copied. This is basically int. We have created a int in our table, so you can mark it as an int. It's a number of parallel copies int, copy duration in seconds. This also we have marked it as a int in our table. If you want to see, just come back, you see here rows copied int. See, from rows copied, rows read, parallel copies and copy duration in seconds, everything is int. So that's why I marked it as int and int. See here, it's a varchar, it's integration on time name, source type varchar, sync type varchar, a copy start time date time, good, end time date time. So here status, it should be, you need to put some characters. If you simply give varchar, it will accept only one character by default. So that's why you need to tell how many characters you need. So varchar 500, you see next varchar 500 here also varchar 500. Okay, now as begin insert into pipeline log values are, these are the all parameters I'm using to insert record into pipeline log. Okay, this is my stored procedure. Copy this stored procedure, come back, let's put it here. Before that, go to stored procedure, refresh this, expand this. You are not getting anything. Let me create this stored procedure, run it. See, this stored procedure command completed successfully. This is done. Now go to stored procedure, right click, refresh this, expand this. You can see pipeline underscore log underscore USP. Okay, what are the parameters it is expecting? You just expand this, so it is going to show you all the parameters which it is expecting. Okay, fine, you know, but anyhow it is just expanding, but you know, see, these are the parameters which you need to pass. Okay, this you know, right? So now everything is clear, friends. So now we have everything is ready. We have source table, we have pipeline log table, which is going to accept all the logs. To insert logs in the pipeline log table, we have a stored procedure as well. Okay, everybody's fine. Now let's see what data we have in our pipeline underscore log. Before we go and do the demo, pipeline underscore log, just run it. See, there is no data. Okay, but my source is ready. My target like blob storage is ready. Only data factory should copy data and it should bring the execution details. Okay, before I go and implement the pipeline, any questions, friends?
Clear.
Yeah, Murali is clear. Parmesh, Ram, Avinash, Sudhir Reddy, Vinod, Devendra.
Clear, Malay.
Okay, fine. Now we know we need to create a two linked services because our source and destinations are different. Okay, let's click new. First linked service I'm creating, that is SQL database. Let's click here, SQL database. Click Azure SQL database, continue. This you can say SQL data, sorry, linked service, right? LS Azure SQL DB. Okay, so through auto resolve integration, it's nothing but a Azure integration runtime. I'm going to identify my database through subscription. This is the server. This is the my database name. Okay, so I'm going to go with the SQL authentication. Let me enter username and password. See, in real time, whoever is attending interview, if anybody asked you, so are we going to type username and password directly in a linked service, or are we going to use a keyword? In real time, we are not going to enter username and password, something like that. We are going to use a Azure keyword. Okay, we have not covered that, so we are going to see. In real time, we won't hard code our username and password. We are going to use a Azure keyword. Okay. So very simple, but I will just take one session soon. Okay, create it. See, connection is successful, you can create it. Now click new. This is my target is blob storage. So you can see here ls Azure blob storage. So through Azure integration runtime, by using account key, I am authenticating to my storage account, which storage I have created, Cloud Pandit storage, and create it directly. No need to test it, okay, because we have not entered the keys, right? That particular key is loaded automatically. So I have two connections. Now come to author tab. I want to create a first we want to copy data from SQL database to the blob storage. Just your focus must be on copying data from SQL database to the blob storage first. Okay, that's why I will create a data set for my SQL database. Continue. This is your DS SQL DB for source. This is going to be our source. Okay. Use the linker service, existing one. Then are we going to create a are we going to select table? No, table name I'm going to pass it dynamically. Okay, that's why I'm not selecting table. Click OK. How will you create the data set, dynamic data set? Okay, how will you create a data set parameter? You know, click on this data set, go to parameters, click new. Here you need to select two things. One is yeah, you can hard code it, schema name. Let's give only source table name. source table name. This parameter where we need to use, click edit. So schema you can hard code. If you want to pass schema also dynamically, you can able to pass. Okay, let's say schema also I want to pass it dynamically. Come here, you can say schema name. Okay, source schema name. So source table name, source schema name. Come here. This is the schema. You need to select the schema of the table. You know, right? So if you want to see the schema, you can see here DBO is the database object. That is your schema. So to pass that, select schema. This is DBO schema. I will pass my table name. I will pass cust. Okay, this is the table name. Select this table. Click finish. Oh, sorry, I selected twice. Table name. That's all. Right. So our data set, okay, parameterized data set is available for SQL database. Let's create our target data set. This is for blob storage. Continue. So how do you want to load? I want to load it as a JSON. Okay, you can say ds underscore Azure blob storage. Okay, JSON as sync. JSON as your sync. Use the existing connection, that is this. And container name I want to pass dynamically. Just click OK. You know this import schema. Now how you will create a parameter for this data set? Same parameter. Here sync container, sync container. Sync container how you will give? Come here, click on this. Here you are going to provide the sync container name. Do you want to provide the file name as well? Yes, you can provide. Come here, click your file. You are going to give the file name. So how you want to load? So do you want to load it as a some cust.csv, cust.json file or emp.json file? So based on that, you can give the file name. This file name where we need to select here. Select file name. That's all, right? Now I have a parameter data sets, parameterized data sets available. Let's create a pipeline. This pipeline name, let's change it to PL for data copy. Okay, from Azure SQL DB to Azure blob storage. Okay, now bring the copy data activity. In this copy data activity, let's rename this copy data activity to Cloud Pandit copy. Cloud Pandit copy. Okay, now come to source. You can use your source is this. See, when you select this, two parameters, data set parameters will be displayed here to receive the value. In the same way, sync set. So data set parameters will be displayed here. You can see how you will pass these four values. See, is from the pipeline parameter, I will pass the values. How to create pipeline parameter? Click on this. Okay, just take this up a little bit. Click on parameters. How many parameters I need? Pipeline parameter, total 4. One is basically for schema name. Second one is for table name. Next one is container name. This is basically file name. So how do you know these are pipeline parameters? So for that pipeline parameter PP I will put for each of these. This is a pipeline parameter. You will come to know. Okay, that's it. See, PP pipeline, right? These parameter I'm going to use here. With the help of pipeline parameter, I'm going to pass the values to here. Now you see. Source table name, come down, you select source table name is table name. So schema name, select add dynamic content, come down. Schema name is PP schema name. Select it. Okay. Now come to sync. Yes, sync container. Sync container is what? Sync container is this one, PP container. Next, file name. So where is that file name? File name, you can say this is PP file. Now the question is, when you are going to provide values, you see first when you click debug, it is not going to happen. These are the pipeline parameters which are going to take the data. So whatever schema name, table name, container name, okay, next PP file name, all these things you provided, based on these values, Okay, these values will be passed to the data set parameters. I have shown you in detail in our previous sessions. In the source data set side, from pipeline parameter will pass these values to the data set parameters. These data set parameters will be used in the data set connections. Okay, see here in sync also. Clear, friends? Now, once my copy activity is completed, okay, let's try to execute copy activity alone first. Okay, let's click debug. So in this debug, I will say my schema name is I know DBO. My table name is cust I know. My PP container name, my PP like container name, I will say custard data. File name, I will say cloud pandit custard.csv. Okay, this is the file. Just click OK now. Okay. We'll go to storage. Okay, we'll see once our copy activity is executed. Okay, it is completed. Come here, refresh this. See cloud pandit cloud custard data. This is our container. Go inside. You'll have a cloud pandit custard.csv. Sorry, this should be JSON, right? So anyhow, even though you have given .csv extension, but inside data will be a JSON format. See, it's a JSON format. Understood, friends? Even though you have given .csv extension, inside data will be JSON format because you have created a blob storage data set with JSON format. Okay, let's delete this folder for now. Okay, now I want to implement my pipeline log. For that, what you need to do, go to general, bring your stored procedure activity, which is this. Okay, now you need to pass your copy activity output to the stored procedure. So this stored procedure, I will call it as a, let's rename it later. Okay, this is not that much important now. So if you want to use the stored procedure which you have in this database, okay, here you see pipeline log underscore USB. First, you need to connect to the database. We already connected to the database, Azure SQL DB. Once you're connected, if you provided the link service, it will show the stored procedures which are available. How many stored procedures are available in this database? Only one. Select that. What parameters I need to pass? See, stored procedure parameters. If you want, if you click new, you are going to create it. But how many you will create now? It is not possible, right? So that's why you just click import. All the things which are required, it will display all the parameters which you have in this stored procedure. It will display here. You see all these details. Okay, let's do one by one. Okay, let's come from the bottom. So it will be easy. Trigger type. Just click add dynamic content. So come down. You see you have something called trigger type. Select this. Click finish. Next trigger type. Select this. Add dynamic content. Trigger time. Just select this trigger time. That's all. Okay, trigger name, add dynamic content, come down. So trigger name, select it, click finish. Trigger ID, select this one. Trigger ID, okay, select trigger ID. Now source type and the sync type. So this I will tell you. Okay, source type, let's select one by one, no issue. Okay, source type means how you will get the source type as we discussed yesterday. On copy activity output, you will have something called execution details. In this execution details, first array item, in that first array item, it should be source dot type. Okay, if you want to see, let me show you that. Okay, see here I have given execution details of 0.source.type. Not only that, I have taken the here you see this. So in this array, first item is this entire thing, and some extra things also there. This is come under first item. So that's why what you are doing here, query is output dot execution details of 0. After that what you are doing, source dot type to get the Azure SQL database. If you want sync dot type, okay, to get your sync name. Currently the sync is blob storage. So when you ask sync dot type, you will get this sync type blob storage. Okay, now what we need to do, execution details of 0.source.type. Now you see what I'm doing, execution details of 0.source.type. Just finish it. Now source means our table name. So let's click add dynamic content. So here I want to put two things basically. What I want to put is I want to say contain like schema name dot table name. Okay, meaning two parameters I need to add it. For that you need to use a something called concat function. Concat. I want to concat. What you want to concat? I want to concat two things. One is you see schema name. First is schema name. This schema name. Next, I want to put between schema name and table name. I want to output dot. After that, I want to pass a table name. Select table name. Understood now? Schema name DBO will come. Dot. I'm just outputting dot. Then you will have a table name DBO dot custom. That is the final value we are passing to the source. Okay. Source. Now sync type. How you will know sync type? Again, same thing. Come down. This is the copy data activity output. On this, we'll have a execution details of 0 dot sync dot type. If at all any spelling mistakes, please let me know, friends, because it will fail again. Run ID. How to get the run ID? Just add dynamic content. Come down, come up. Here you see pipeline run ID. Select this, click finish. Rows read. How do you know the number of rows read? Just click on dynamic content. So on copy activity, you need to ask output dot rows read. Okay, click finish. Now rows copied. How many records it's copied? Just click on this. Select your copy activity dot output dot rows copied. Okay, just finish it. Pipeline name. Just add dynamic content. So this is the pipeline name. Selected. Click finish. Now number of parallel copies. So how to get the number of parallel copies? So here you can see on output you have a used parallel copies. Okay, this is the thing you need to give. Okay, used parallel copies you need to give. Just click on this. I will tell you. Okay, don't worry. So even though we are just taking everything from the slides, how to understand, how do you know all the things which are available? I will tell you. Okay, so you need to say here used parallel. What is that? Parallel copies. Okay, just select that and let me just put everything in it like this. Click finish. Now execution status code. Execution status code basically you will get on the copy data activity. So let's say copy data activity. Directly you can ask the status code. Click finish. So status also directly on copy activity. Just add dynamic content. Status. Okay, just click OK. Finish. Now error message. Add dynamic content. Error is also directly on copy activity. Okay, you don't need to put output all those things. Error. Click finish. Now go up here a little bit. You see here effective integration runtime. So effective integration runtime is same as a name. Okay, how you will get effective integration runtime on this output? I don't think on output. So yeah, output only. Effective integration runtime. Effective integration run time. Okay, just finish it. Next, destination. So destination is what, friends? Destination is our container name. So if you want to pass both, you can pass, but let me just pass the container name. Next, data factory name. How you will pass data factory name? You know, right? You just have a here, just select this, data factory will go. Copy duration in seconds. Copy duration you will get once copy activity output comes, right? So output dot copy duration. Click finish. Now copy start time. So start time you'll get before copy activity generate the output. That's why to remove this output you have to say execution start time. Finish it. Go to copy activity end time. Click add dynamic content. Come down. Copy activity dot execution end time. Click finish. Okay, so these are the things we need to do. As we discussed yesterday, So I want to maintain two stored procedures. One is for success stored procedure. Second one is for failure stored procedure. Now what you need to do, select the stored procedure. This stored procedure name, I will mark it as a success stored procedure. Success. Okay. Now let's clone this. I will use this particular thing for our failure scenario. Just right click on this. Right click on this line, failure. So if copy acted failed, I want to execute this. So let's rename this one. Select this stored procedure. Instead of this, we need to say failed stored procedure. Okay, this is okay. But whenever pipeline is failed, you will not get the number of records read and number of records written. So that's why go to the stored procedure, go to settings, come down. Whenever copy activity fail, what I want to do, I want to remove the number of rows read because it is failed to read. That's why you won't get this. Even rows copied, you will not get. You just remove this and treat it as a null. Okay, these are the two things you need to take care. Now the things are not proper. Now just right click on this. We have something called auto align. Just click on auto align. It will be aligned automatically. Okay, now you see. Okay, now it is proper. Now it is properly, it's there. Now let's try to debug. Okay, let's try to debug first. Just click on debug. In this, what is our schema name? We know dbo. What is my table name? It's a cust. Container name, I will say cust details. My file name, I will say customers.json. It's a JSON, right? So customer.json. Before I debug, let's check pipeline log table. Do we have any details? No, it's empty. Now just click OK. Copy activity is executing. So once copy activity is succeeded, then this stored procedure will execute. If copy activity is failed, then this stored procedure will execute. That's okay. This is job is still queued. You know this is some temporary issue. Don't worry. Okay, as we are in free trial, so we have this limitation. We won't get the resources immediately. Don't worry, but till yesterday we have not much problems. But today it is taking quite long time for executing the copy activity. Okay, yeah, copy activity is succeeded, stored procedure is executing, stored procedure failed. Okay.
The parameter name is wrong, Malaya. You have given it as NMAE instead of name.
Where?
In the source or sync side.
So you mean in stored procedures? Okay, let me just check the error message. It will give you full clarity to us. Okay, see, execution failed, error, conversion failed when converting date and time from the character string. These kind of issues are. Let's check execution end time, execution start time, date time. Okay, fine. Copy duration in seconds, you know. Copy duration, data factor name is correct. Destination PP container name. This is correct container name. This name is okay because we have given there also name a little bit wrong. That's okay. Effective effective integration runtime, string error, it's okay, status is okay, status code is okay, number of parallel copies. One second. Let's do one thing. Start time is okay, duration, copy duration is okay, data factory pp container name is okay, effective integration runtime error is okay, status code is okay, output run ID is all these are trigger ID, trigger name, everything is string. Rows reader, rows copied, this is okay. Pipeline name is okay, number of copied. Copy duration, this is also in. I see there is no wrong in this. Okay, let's see now. Execute failed against SQL Server, to bad error message, conversion failed when converting date and or time from character string. This should be date time here. This is correct only.
Malay, can you check the table, log table, date time, data type?
Yeah, right. You are right. Let's check that first. Pipeline underscore log columns. We can see here. Data factor name. This is all okay. Oh, looks like everything is fine. Okay, let's see. Data factor name varchar. We have given there also varchar. Pipeline name varchar. Run ID varchar. Source varchar. Destination varchar. Trigger type varchar. Trigger ID varchar. Name. Trigger time, date time we have given. Okay. Rows copied int. So, but here when we are passing trigger time from stored procedure, are we passing date time or what? Trigger time. So you see here trigger time is varchar. Here you are passing from stored procedure varchar, but in table trigger time you have given a date time. So that is the problem. Let's do one thing. Okay, let's recreate our stored procedure, or let's create a table. Okay, let's drop table pipeline underscore log. Okay, run it. Okay, table is dropped. Now let's go back. This is my table name. In this, what we need to modify? Trigger time. Trigger time. Let's modify to varchar 500. I hope everybody is clear. Don't confuse. Okay, this is the table. We just modified the data type because data type is mismatched, then we'll have the same issue. Two commas. Okay, fine. Now you run it. Okay, this is successfully executed. Now we have a proper data type. So everything is varchar. Here you see trigger time. Trigger time is string. Okay, same thing. Now let's debug. Okay, before you debug, whatever data you have in blob storage, let's try to delete this. Okay, let's delete this. Okay, fine. Now come to your data factory. Let's debug this time. So pp schema name, this is dbo. Table name is cust. Container name I will say cust output. Okay, or something you can give cust output. Then file name I will say customers.json. Just click OK. Now we'll see what will happen. The copy activity executed. Your stored procedure also executed successfully. Good. Now let's see our pipeline log table. Select a star from pipeline underscore log. Okay, run it. Now we see data factory name came, pipeline name came, right? Next, your run ID. See F86. You see F86. This run ID. Okay. Next, dbo.cust. We know we concatenate schema dot and cust. That's why total name came into source. Destination side, we are just passing the container name. Trigger type is it a manual or triggered? Manual. Okay. Sandbox. Why trigger name is sandbox? Because you debugged. So trigger ID. This should be a sandbox. Trigger time. This is the time we trigger. The rows copied. Rows written is 4. Rows read is 4. The number of parallel copies it is used is 1. How you will know that? So come back again here. That will be available. Only trigger ID is not available. You see, rows read is 4. Rows written is 4. Next, DIUs is 4. Parallel copies is 1. Okay. Next. So DIUs we have not collected, I think. Yeah. We have not collected DID, so, but we used the threads we have taken. The duration, copy duration we have taken. Then you see a default integration runtime we have used. Our source is Azure SQL database. Our sink is Azure blob storage. The copy duration taken started this time, ended this time. Status is succeeded. Status code is 200. Error message is null because it's not a failed. Okay, this is one thing is clear. Only the problem is trigger ID we are not getting. Now we'll do in another way. That is, I will just publish it. Okay, just publish. Okay, now let's do one thing. Add trigger now. So you need to provide the values here. Let me provide values here. Schema name I will give it as a dbo. This is a cust table. I will say cust data 2, or you can say cust second run. So my container name I will give properly to understand easily. Okay, second run data will be there in this particular container, second run container. Okay, in this you can say customer.json. Okay, just click OK. Now once you triggered, now come to monitor tab because it's not a debug, it's a triggering. We have triggered it. Okay, now you just refresh triggered. See, this is the triggered one. See, triggered by manual. Okay, status you see in progress, run ID, parameters, run ID. See, your overall pipeline is succeeded. Overall pipeline is succeeded. Come to trigger runs. Okay, so this is also not available because this is a manual trigger. Whenever you debug and manual trigger, we are not getting the trigger IDs. But I will tell you in which case we'll get the trigger IDs. Okay, so I will show you that. So now you see this is also succeeded. This time we'll see what will happen. Okay, let's run this. We'll have another record in this table. See another record, same details. Okay, but this time see, this is second run. See, in second run, this is the record, second run data record. You see, when you debugged, the trigger name is sandbox. When you have ran triggered, then it is a manual trigger. It is showing manual. Okay, whether you are debugging, whether you are triggering, this is basically manual. Okay, now you see this is the time, rows copied, rows written, both the same number of parallel copies, threads, copy duration, everything is same. It has taken blobs to SQL database to the blobs to start time, end time. You can see here. Okay, succeeded, status code 200. It's a null value. So don't worry, I have not covered this part, triggering or triggers, right? So, but the trigger part I will show you. Now I want to schedule my pipeline. How you will schedule is add trigger, new/edit. Okay, here you are going to give the new trigger you are going to create. So here you are going to create your trigger name. You will say Cloud Pandit trigger. Remember, this name will come into our logs. Okay, this name will come into our logs. So I'm going to say Cloud Pandit trigger. Next, schedule tumbling event. So don't worry, everything I will cover. For now, schedule. I want to go with schedule. So this will be in UTC. Okay, this will be in UTC. Now I want to schedule my pipeline to run at every 15 minutes or something. And then I'm going to say that it is, I'm activating. Then I want to change the timing. Okay, come down. You see the timing. You can change it to what time you want to change. You want to run pipeline at 23. 2:23 a.m. Okay, yes, click OK. Just click OK. Okay, here you need to provide the details because it's automatically triggering, right? So these details also you need to provide and keep it here. DBO, table name is cust, and container name I will say this is schedule run, and file name is customer.json. Okay, click OK. Now you just publish it. Once you publish, then only this trigger will be act on this particular pipeline. Okay, without publishing, it will not know that you have attached. Okay, now let's see what is the time now. 2:22. Okay, in maybe in 30 to 40 seconds, our pipeline is going to run. It is still publishing. By the time it is published, yeah, let's wait for few more seconds. Okay, then you will see like your pipeline will run exactly at 2:23. Current duties time. See 2:20 to 39, 40. So we have 20 more seconds. Let's wait 20 more seconds. Okay, this is done. Now come here, go to monitor tab because all the schedule things will be there in a monitor tab. You see this is triggered by who? It's a manual trigger. This is triggered by Cloud Pandit trigger. It's triggered by Cloud Pandit trigger, remember. So it is executing. Go to trigger runs. Now this should be available. See, this is trigger name is Cloud Pandit trigger. Trigger type is schedule trigger. As I said, trigger types, there are 3 types of trigger. Okay, next one is we have a you can able to see trigger ID here 085. Okay, you got it right. Now you know anyhow your source, destination, trigger type. We created a schedule trigger. Next trigger time we know the rows copied, rows read, you know, number of parallel copies, right? The copy duration, it took this time 3 seconds. Default integration runtime we are using Azure SQL database to blob storage, we are moving the data. So start time, end time we have. Then succeeded status 200. This is a null value. So you understood. Now we ran this particular pipeline for 3 scenarios. One is for debugging. Second one is manual trigger after publishing. Third one is we scheduled it. Okay. So other things we will cover trigger things. But now I want to go with the failure scenario. Come to author tab again. Okay, I hope you are clear, right? In monitor tab, I have shown you these run IDs. Okay, because why we need these run IDs important is in real time hundreds of pipelines are going to run. You need to filter it out. How you will filter it out is if something is failed, it is showing, then you take the run ID. Okay, with the run ID you are going to identify. Okay, trigger ID is just to identify what time this particular pipeline is triggered, and then what is the trigger like which trigger is executed this pipeline. All those details if you want to understand trigger ID. But pipeline ID is very important to filter out the which pipeline out of hundreds of pipelines, because in real time hundreds of pipelines will keep running, right? So that's right, fine. Now come here, click on this. Now I will make sure my pipe copy activity is failed. So how you will fail your pipeline is very simple. Come to source data set side, okay, or you can do very simple things. Okay, just click debug. When you are debugging here, let's give DBO, and the table name you give EMP. EMP table is not available, it will fail. Okay, EMP data. So anyhow this container name, file name it will create if the source table is available, but EMP table is not available. So object not found error you will get. So copy activity will fail. When copy activity fail, this stored procedure will run. Now we'll see that. See, this is failed. It is coming to the failure scenario. Now you see failed stored procedure ran. Now let's go to this tool. Let's run it. Okay, this is the 4th record. You see, this is the 4th record. See, destination is EMP data. Our source is we are trying to read dbo.emp. See, sandbox, because it's a again manual trigger. Okay. Trigger ID, it will not be visible for manual and sandbox. If it is a triggered by something, you can able to see this trigger ID. We have seen that, right? Next, See, rows copied, rows read is going to be null because it's failed. So how do you know it's failed? Go to status. See, the status is failed. What is the error code? You can see error code is 400. What is the error message? So this error message may not give full information, but we'll see whether it is giving full information. It will not give you full information. It will give you some information regarding object. So maybe object is not found, some kind of error. Now with this clue, you should go into your pipeline, click on this copy activity. So this error message, if you see object not found, some error message will be there. Now you see database operation failed with the following error: invalid object name. Invalid object name. Why? Because this particular object is not available in the database. This particular EMP table we have not created. That's why it got failed. This failure details few error message, like little idea you will get from this error message. Once you get this information, you need to take this particular run ID. With this run ID, you need to filter out which pipeline. Okay, maybe out of 100 pipelines, multiple pipelines got failed, but you need to identify, right? So that's why you need to have a run ID. With this run ID, you can able to identify. Okay, clear, friends? Now we need to learn, because I just kept all these things, but how you will know all these are the dynamic content, how you learn, so how we are going to understand. So you are simply typing, but how we know that what we need to use here, right? That is your question. Good. Now you see, I will just put this something wrong. Okay, that's something wrong is nothing but output dot execution end time I will put. So you know execution end time is not available on the output. So when this error comes, it is going to suggest you, it will tell you, hey, but this is not the on output, we don't have execution end time. The available properties, or it will give all the properties. This is the easiest way to learn. So if you want to learn from the documentation, you can do it, but it is little bit difficult for you to understand. Okay, because documentation, it is not this much clear. From the error message, you will get a lot of clear messages. Okay, I will tell you. See, now come to copy activity. You no need to change anything. Now stored procedure will fail. My copy activity will succeed this time. Okay, my cast failed dot json something. I am giving file names. Just click OK. Now you see what is going to happen. Your stored procedure will fail. When stored procedure has failed, it will give you all the information that is required for you. Okay, very good. Now it's failed. Click on this. It will be easy for you to learn. That's what I'm saying. See now, the expression activity output.execution end time cannot be evaluated. Property execution end time does not exist. So what it is saying, execution end time is not available on output. What are the available properties on output is? These all things are the available properties. See, data read, data written, files written, source peak connection, sync peak connection, rows read, rows copied. Out of all these things, I used very few things. Let's see, let me show you that. Come here. These are the queries, right? So these are the properties which we have. See, out of this, I have not used data read, data written, files written, a source peak connection, sync peak connection, rows read we have used, rows copied we have used, copy duration we have used. Now you want throughput, okay? Like how is performance? Then you can use the throughput. Error is available directly on copy activity, but on output you have, see, on output you have rows copied. So rows copied is available. Rows read is rows read. Used parallel copies, that also available. You can see here. It is saying no. See, used parallel copies, it is showing here. Copy duration, it is showing. Execution integration runtime. Copy details. Okay. So in this copy details, we have a multiple things as I shown you in the array. In that array, we have a lot of objects. In that array, first item, I have a source and a source type, sync and a type. So I am taking from this execution details. Okay, data consistency verification, duration in queue. Example, you want to understand our pipeline previously took approximately 1.5 minutes in a queue. You want to understand how much time this is in a queue. Okay, copy duration, it will not give you full information, right? Copy duration, it will give you total time it has taken, but you need to understand whether this total time it has taken for copying or it did not get the resources. How you will understand? So if you take duration in queue, you will come to know, okay, copy duration is 1 minute 60 seconds, duration is 20 seconds. Now what is the total time it has taken to copy, only copy? Can you tell me? Copy duration is 60 seconds, duration in queue is 20 seconds. Now the actual time it has taken to copy data is how much? 40. Very good. So it is a 40 seconds. So those things you will come to know if you use all these parameters. Now you understood. So because even I don't know this effective integration runtime, all those things based on our requirement, we need to use it parallel copies. If you don't know, you can able to save all these things and you can try it out. Data read means it will give the data size, how many bytes it read from source, how many bytes it has written, files written. If it is a files, okay, example, now this entire data it has written into a single file. So files written will be 1. Source peak connection, how many connections it has established to your source, how many connections it has established to your sink, and all other things we discussed, right? So likewise we have all these details on a output, copy activity dot output dot all these parameters you can use. Now let's see what is there directly on this. Okay, directly on copy activity, what things are available, we'll see that. How you will check? Again you need to come here. What I will do is, instead of saying output dot execution anytime, okay, now you see I will do something different. See, this copy duration I will ask directly on this, then it will say copy duration is not available directly on activity. All the properties which are available on direct activity are, it will give you all the available properties. Let's debug once again. Okay, here I want to give my schema name is DBO. PP table name first, you know, this you say custom data custom dot JSON and click OK. Now you see our stored procedure again will fail, but it will give you information for you. It is queued. Okay, stored procedure fail. In this time, now you see just click on this. So don't think that failing something is your learning path. Okay, if something failed, you will come to know many things. Okay, remember this activity dot copy duration. See what it is saying, cannot be evaluated because property copy duration does not exist. Available properties are pipeline name and many things. Let's see. Let's come back. Let's put these things. Yeah, let me keep these things on top. No, these are the activities which are available on direct activity. You see, I have applied many of these things. Let's see. See, directly I'm using start time. Yes, it is available. End time available. Status available. Status code error. All these things available. Not only